Hey, Brittany.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing well. Mina's joining us again.
Hi, Mina,
So
Mina.
she's like, I'm ready for a nap.
Ready for my nap?
But
Mina?
yeah.
Ready to sleep. Okay.
It's a hard life, you know, being the the dog of a single childless dog mom, but here we are.
It's good life.
For
Well,
sure.
exciting
Mm.
times are upon us.
Exciting times. This is the last pod we're going to do before we elect a new president of the United States. Did you vote already?
I did on Saturday. No, Friday night, Friday evening. I did. I did
Love
my
it.
early vote. It took me like 5 minutes.
Really?
Well, because I broke my foot, right? So I got fast.
Ah, right, right. Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, wow, the line, but yes, yes, yes.
I got a little fast track going on, which I greatly appreciated. So it took me longer to walk in the building than it did to vote. So, which was awesome. They were great.
That is
I cast
awesome.
my vote, and also in New York, what was interesting. Well, I didn't. I guess I didn't pay that much attention, so that's bad. But anyway, right on the back, you flip it over, and you're voting yes for equal protections for different to be added to the state constitution. So if you're in New York and you still haven't voted, make sure you flip over your ballot.
Uh-huh. Yes,
So
always make sure you read your ballot, the sample ballots that come in the mail. Don't just chuck them in the trash.
I don't get sample ballots.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
maybe they don't do that in New York.
I don't know. I don't get one. Never
Yeah.
did one. I just show up and okay,
Do what you need to do.
how to do. But no, this is
I
kind
love
of
that.
it's really exciting. I mean, the energy that's around. Well, our listeners should know, and viewers should know that we are Vice President Kamala Harris supporters.
Right.
And so the energy that is around her is really quite palpable. And, it just means so much to me from, the perspective of a Black female to just see her rise to this occasion in such a short period of time and galvanize all of these different groups and do it in a way that's really classy, but also hard hitting, right?
Yes.
And, um, really kind of speaks to where we are in our time and also reaching out to various different groups and also her messaging of wanting to be inclusive of people that don't even vote for her, right? That's
That is exactly what I was going to hit on. So, yes, I also voted early. Mina came with me in a little sling. She got a little I voted early sticker. She did not vote for those who may be wondering. But um, I agree with you because I don't know if I told you that. I come from a family of strong military family.
mm,
Almost my father served in the military. My aunts and uncles have served. So I always say our family, we're as American as apple pie. We're as patriotic as one can get. And being in a space where, having worked on campaigns before, making calls on this campaign and speaking with people all over the country about what's important to them, it's exciting. It does feel like the first time I ever voted. I voted for President Obama, and that was amazing,
mm,
right? Because one, it was like, oh, I worked on this campaign, right? So you had this immediate sense of your effort yielding some sort of return.
right, right.
But subsequently after that, having run for office, been in elected office, come out, it's just an indescribable feeling. If you liked the first day of school, it's kind of like that, but it's really exciting just to speak with people in your community, figure out what's important to them, and come together to think about what what comes next and the type of country you want to live in. And I was going to mention, I don't know if you saw Harrison Ford's ad. He recently came out and advised that he voted for Kamala Harris. And again, from a marketing perspective, I'd love to hear what you think about her campaign from that marketing lens, because I think it's just ingenious. But he says she's protecting your right to disagree with her.
Right. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I just thought that was for the people who may not typically vote for a Democrat, or for Republicans who felt, quite frankly, pushed out of their party because of extreme ideals. It's such a simple platform. I'm protecting your right to disagree with me, right? And working forward. So very
Yeah.
excited.
I think that, or at least I really do feel like her whole platform is based on authenticity,
Mhm.
from her lived experience, both personally and professionally. She talks a lot about family and her upbringing and the positives and the challenges around that. I think that she has been on the ground in understanding all of the different issues. And so when you bake something in your lived experience and your authenticity, it just comes out. It makes the marketing so much easier, right?
Yes.
Because you're not actually making anything up. Your biggest challenge is how do you communicate all of those things in a way that resonates with people in the world now that
Mhm.
we live in, which really requires these short sound bites, right?
Correct. Correct.
And if anybody's ever written anything, it's so much harder to write something short than it is to write something
Yeah.
long, right? And so it's the same principle. I think her team is pretty amazing with
Mhm.
again, classy but no holds barred attitude, right? They seize upon opportunities in a moment's notice.
Yeah.
If something is happening, it feels like everything is happening primarily in real time, right?
Yes. Right.
And that is just a testament to the apparatus that she has around her that is in tune with culture and society. And also, it needs to happen to, you know, meet the end goal, right? They have the end
Yeah.
goal in mind and they're working backwards and they're telling their truth. Now, people may not agree with their truth or have different versions of it, but it's their truth that they want to bring to the American people.
Correct.
And I have nothing but respect for that apparatus that also respects the audience that they're trying to serve.
And this underscores the importance of diversity, right? Because she could have gone the way of hiring uh, you know, communications experts who've been in the field for decades.
Mhm.
And we see not only people with extensive experience, but we see, to your point about culture, we see a lot of Gen Zers on her team, right? People who've grown up and continue to live online. And so you do have these rapid responses to these moments that are, quite frankly, bizarre. I mean, they took a clip of a rally from her opponent and they just tweeted out a question mark because there was a sense of it being so odd,
Yeah,
and us not apparently having the same takeaway, but they're able to authentically not only capture your attention, but you feel like she's receiving it similarly. Like what is happening?
right.
you know? Yeah, and I think it's really awesome to see someone who has experienced both, you know, well, in all three really, the judicial, the legislative, and executive branches of government,
Yeah.
For those of you who forgot civics classes, there are three branches of government. But I think that's really important because as accomplished as she is, she's still very approachable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can we talk about that for a minute? Because, like,
Yes.
just as you just pointed out, she has all this professional experience, which typically we think has a certain persona attached to
Correct.
it. But because she's extremely comfortable in her skin,
Mm-hmm.
we see not only that professional corporate quote unquote side, right? But we
Sure.
see some of the everyday side of her. I'm not saying we're going to see all of it because we're not in her house, we're not hanging around her family, okay? But you kind of get a sense of that, especially when, you see moments of her, like when she's talking about cooking or, just,
Exactly what I was gonna say. Yes. And you
you're like,
see the
yeah,
joy
you see
and
that.
the excitement and, and she's getting, and this is what you're gonna do. And
Mhm.
the same that you would have with a friend or a colleague or someone you're getting to know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's I think that's that approachability piece because it's
Mm-hmm.
so relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to say this, right? Because Obama had this factor too, just like this general cool factor, and it's
Yes.
not because, well, I'm just going to say she's not putting on an act about being cool. Like, Black people, people of color, we're cool people. All right. We a whole like vibe to us that has proliferated American culture in general, right? We just don't get enough hype and credit for who we are and what we bring to the table. But when we see people like us in these positions that we're far and few in between, right? Obviously, this is one of the biggest ones, and we see those people being authentically Black, or in her case, also authentically South Asian, right? That's cool because
Right.
our quote unquote norm was something else. Not saying that something else was bad, it just wasn't as relatable to us. And so when we can relate to that, and other groups relate to that too, as we've seen across, history and time, it just feels good because it allows you to just kind of other people to be comfortable in their own skin, because you can be comfortable in
Yes.
that skin in those higher, platforms of society.
Yeah. And women in leadership, especially women of color, especially Black women, are encouraged to compartmentalize,
Hmm.
right? So when you think of a presidential candidate, you think of a dark colored pantsuit, an American flag pin, and this stoic demeanor
Hmm.
in order to be taken seriously. Whereas, to your point, yes, we can get the corporate Kamala, right? Or the competent Kamala, which is pervasive through every part. But we've gotten to see her as an aunt and a stepmom, someone who deeply cares about her family, who is going to give you her favorite recipe and here's what you need to do. And, all of these spaces to take the time to learn a little bit of sign language, to connect with people,
Yeah.
to your point, more authentically and to center them. And so I think this is exciting. I mean, I have a mentor, uh, an Italian guy in his 60s, and this weekend he texted and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to Pennsylvania. Do you want to come? We have room in the car." Like this energy of connection. You see people at her rallies, regardless of their background. People walking down the street that you may not think are going to have much in common are showing up at the rallies, dancing to, whatever artist is there. And even if that's not the artist that they may normally listen to, it's that space of getting to explore and be free and connect, which despite all of the different channels for connection we have is more lacking than ever. I think we're deeply lacking in connection. And so I really appreciate this energy of people becoming patriots. I mean, the American flag, right?
Mm.
Even I think if you drive past someone who has a flag on their car, you're biased. You're probably going to assume something about what they support, who
Right.
they support, what their political affiliation is. And it's so exciting to see that that's no longer the case because people are excited and coming back to what it means to be a patriot.
Yeah. I love that sentiment because, you're right. There's a certain connotation based on what the past, few years have been.
Hmm.
And it is something to think that everybody can raise that flag, and no matter what your beliefs are, we're unified under it. And hopefully after Tuesday, right? That will be a signal, a great signal. I also want to tap into, because when you're talking about connection, it's also the not solely, but it's also the power of it's also female power, right? That is
Hmm.
something that, from various studies that we're actually really strong in, is listening, not always thinking that we have the answer, right? And bringing people together. And that's also, she's tapping into that female energy probably quite naturally, right? And I think that's why we're getting a completely different vibe as well, because that's a different leadership style, right? And that
Right.
leadership style is born out of many things, one thing being female energy, but her ability to listen is so incredibly important, because, and she's listening through her responses and her reflection, and also through her policy, right? And at the very least, people feel heard, and that is a really powerful connection point.
Absolutely. Have you ever spoken to someone and you can tell there's something behind their eyes that makes it clear that they're just waiting for you to be quiet so they can go ahead and say what they're going to say?
Right,
That's not active listening,
right.
right? And so we see these micro affirmations, her nodding her head, her inclining her head, you see that she's truly centered on and responsive to the people that she's engaging with. And even when her answers aren't perfectly scripted
Hmm.
or perfectly articulated, that to me signals this person is actively listening.
Yeah.
They're not just working from a script. And that authenticity, I think, is incredibly important. And when you're speaking about what women bring to leadership, we have these spaces and we're now exploring these strengths that are required for leadership. Connection, the ability to build consensus
Hmm.
and be authentically doing so, is a strength. It's one of the premier strengths that you have to have in this day and age. And it's really important. I think it's fascinating to see such a great example of what a woman in leadership can look like. And even with the cooking, like I'm pleasantly surprised that more people are not saying, well, she shouldn't talk about cooking, or conversely, that's where women belong. Women belong in the kitchen. It's a facet of who she is. It doesn't define who she is, because she as a woman doesn't have to fit into this stereotype of, or doesn't have to fear being authentically herself. She doesn't have to fear saying, I like to cook. because I'm sure certain advisors would say, stay away from the cooking. You're a woman.
Right.
People aren't going to like that. You have to dispel yourself of all of the things that we traditionally think of as a gendered role for a woman.
Right.
And we embrace that.
Well,
It could be in the kitchen, evil stepmom, all of these tropes that she's spun on their head and embraced them, which to me makes me respect her more.
I totally agree. I mean, again, our norm has been what white males do or what
Mm-hmm.
males do.
Mm-hmm.
Norm has never been in a positive, not in a positive and empowering way, what
Mm-hmm.
women do, right, as normal. And so it it is refreshing to see that, and we all know this as women, we are multifaceted, we are multitaskers,
Correct.
right? And we still bring our best to the table. I was watching Diplomat on Netflix last
Yes.
night,
Yeah.
and I don't want to give it away for the viewers, but Allison Janney makes an appearance in the last two episodes of season two. And if you guys remember her, she's in a lot of shows, but she was originally in West Wing, so it's kind of like another political situation. And she's the vice president. And Carrie Russell plays, oh shoot, what's her name? Katie Weiler.
Leaves.
Weiler.
She would have kept her curls, but that's just me.
Well, so to this point, Allison Janney's character, vice president, criticizes her for not having a particular look, for wearing what she like, for not caring about her appearance, for not caring about her hair. And she admits that when she first started her gig, that was something that she didn't want to care about, but quickly found that she did have to care about it. And her rationale was because Katie was like, I really just want people to focus on my policy. She's like, no one's going to read your policy. It's going to be a soundbite, but your picture is going to show up as vice president because your
Sure.
doctor is running for vice president 12,000 times per day. And that's what people are going to see.
Yeah.
And so you have to have this external persona.
Mm.
And I thought that was really powerful, right? Because we sit here and we say, we don't have to look a certain way, right? And as women, we shouldn't be held to this particular standard. And of course, people are talking and are going to continue to talk about what Kamala wears, right?
Yes.
Because she is a woman, that's the framing. And we don't talk about men in the same way, except for Obama's beige suit, right?
Yes.
But that's the reality. And I don't think we could just ignore it. But as long as we are talking about that in a positive and affirming way, I have to say that I don't know what rally it was. I was watching some rally on television and I saw Kamala walk out in jeans. I was like, oh my God, she's wearing jeans. I called my mother over. My mother was like, let me see what's she wearing. We were all excited about her wearing jeans. And I was like, why am I excited about her wearing jeans? Well, the reason, and I've seen her in a few more clips wearing jeans, the reason is like everyday people wear jeans. We wear jeans every single day. And again, this relatability and this authenticity, that idea of wearing jeans, right?
Exactly.
Brings connection
Mm-hmm.
in a way, unconscious way, right? You're like, oh, okay, she still got her blazer, she still looked professional, right? She still got her, 5-inch heels on, whatever it is. But it's just so interesting how we as women have to think about our presence in a completely different way and what signals it may have. I'm sure that was thought through also.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I
can't
mean,
wait to see what else she wears, to be honest. Like I was fascinated with Michelle Obama's outfits and hair. I can't lie. I was fascinated by it. And
I could totally bring up Housewives and Gen Alliance, but I won't. But you see the pervasiveness. Housewives is important in every conversation, people. For those who have no idea what I'm speaking about, Jenna Lyons, formerly of J. Crew, she was the person who was designing for and dressing Michelle Obama during the Obama presidency.
So there you go. Positive.
Oh my goodness.
But it's so interesting. I'm so excited to see what happens. I'm actually not nervous.
No?
No. I have decided to speak life to it. I think that this is a moment in time. In some ways, my mother said this. My mother said, I think it's her destiny. And I was like, you know what? I agree with you. And I'm not going to pay attention to all the polls and all that stuff because first of all, it's too stressful. I was hanging out with a couple of friends last night, and they were like, you know what? They're going to find something else to watch on Tuesday because we probably won't know the results
Yeah.
after. Although I'm really hoping for a landslide, so I hope everybody goes out there and does what they need to do. But maybe they won't even call it that early, even if it is a landslide. But yeah. I think wake up to maybe not on Wednesday, but we'll wake up one day.
Yeah. I actually just came back from grocery shopping because I've been asking everyone. I asked you unintentionally since you went into a panic, but I want to know what people's election night meals are going to be, and what they're going to do to bring joy to themselves and their families. So if that's watching election coverage, great. I know certain members of my family are like, oh, I have been waiting, this series just wrapped up. So excited to binge it all in one night. So I think everyone is hopeful, everyone's excited. And I think to your point, you've done what you needed to do. Right? And so I think that when there's nothing more that you can do, you relax into what will be.
The election night meal this time.
Okay.
So, my mother, my parents were here nursing me for this broken foot, right? So
Yes.
they left. They went back to Florida. And so my mother cooked a bunch of meals that are still in the fridge. And so actually I was trying to pull this up really quickly, but I don't think I could find it that fast. But anyway, here it is. I'll tell you what she made.
Love it. Love it.
I know there is lasagna. There is rasta pasta with grilled chicken. There's meatballs, barbecue ribs, jerk chicken, and a pot roast, and also oxtail. So
a pot roast and oxtail.
Yes, one of those.
Mina and I will be right over. Don't worry.
We have lots of food. Okay, hook me up. So one of those will be the meals.
I love that. Shout out to moms.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. My mom. All right.
Hopefully she's listening. She can hear that, she got a special shout out.
All right. Well, everybody needs to go out there and vote if they haven't done so already, and put good vibes into the air.
Take a friend or 3 or 5.
Yes. Yes. And then after Vice President Kamala Harris becomes President-elect Harris, then do all you can to support her.
I just got to chill. Oh, that's so great.
Good. President-elect Harris. We can do this.
Yeah.
It's going to get done.
It's going to get done.
There's no other version of reality that I am willing to accept at this point.
No timeline jumping. We're here. We're staying here.
All right. So the next time we will speak will be after the election.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And I already apologize in advance because I'm going to be sending you text after text on Wednesday. So,
it's okay. They won't see those. So
yes. You all won't see that, but we'll recap it for you by the time the election's over.
Exactly. We'll do a recap episode next. All right. Until then, until our next text message, Brittany.
Until our next test message. Bye.